All right, hello, what's up? I'm gonna read this article. I came across this article this morning, and I wanted to share it. I wanted to read it to you and share it. This is about what's going on through our current life and stuff. Real quick, I know my hair is a bit wacky. I tried combing it, man. I did. Sometimes it just wants to do its own thing, and the more you try to control it, the crazier it gets. Much like people, right? Uh, so anyways, here we go. This is so as you can see here, it was posted back in April of 2022, but it is very much still relevant. So let's take a look. Have a read with me here. Well, I guess I'll just read who wrote it too, because I'm not familiar with the person or anything. I just came across it as like a repost or something, and I read it and I was like, damn, I'm gonna share this. I like it. I'm gonna share this. So it's called Revelation of the Method, written by Dustin Broadberry. CIA Director William Casey is reputed to have said to Ronald Reagan, "We'll know our disinformation is complete when everything the American public believes is false." Fast forward 30 years, and there's no piece of fiction the masses will not swallow. From woke to COVID to the war in Ukraine, people no longer make their own ideological pilgrimages to the truth. The truth is served oven ready by their political betters. Nowadays, there's little distinction between the two hemispheres, reality and illusion. It's not so much that people have been robbed of their ability to decipher between these two, it's that facts have been reoriented into fiction and fiction into facts. It's a degradation of epistemology so momentous that people don't even know that they don't know that they don't know what's happening. To quote one former anarchist. That's true, you don't know? Yeah, no, it's horrible, it's nuts. And that's because unless you're able to daily look into everything and investigate for yourself and know what's going on, we get complacent when we forget things, or we get out of practice of being aware of certain things, and we get complacent. And unless you're actively aware and truly understand that these people are an enemy to every single one of us, this is what happens. In the grand scheme of things, humanity has perjured themselves, and life as we know it has morphed into a sort of science fiction soap opera with few common ancestors to reality. The writing to me is a little bit more advanced. I don't normally read stuff like this, so sometimes I might read it a little weird. I know that I read that off not very naturally, sorry. Even right-thinking folks required the equivalent of a cerebral chainsaw to hollow out the slew of implausible narratives into something remotely resembling reality. And some of the writing is just funny. Like, I dig it, like I like it, but it's a lot of words I don't normally use. It goes beyond fiction to predictive programming. They're not just deceiving you, they're showing you that they're deceiving you. Yeah, I mean, this is the crazy thing. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. And that's the mockery. So part of the revelation of the method is the mockery of the fact that we can't even just see what's right in front of our face and really address that. That's a part of the revelation of the method, what that's called. It's mockery of us for believing the shit that they're cramming down our throats. Today, what is neither here nor there to the deceived is the track records of their deceivers. Before the ink dried on the newsprint proclaiming the crisis in waiting, the falsifications of COVID were buried under the falsehoods of war. Zelensky's standing ovation at Westminster knocked Pfizer's data release off the rostrum, and those formerly joined at the hip to COVID got ditched to their Ukrainian brides. How quickly we went through three things real fast. And the only reason I saw it all happen right in front of my eyes is because I was paying attention every day, all day long. I was lost in madness. I was in it every day, all day long. And I watched as we went from Black Lives Matter to the COVID pandemic to Ukraine war. And when the Ukraine war came out, I saw how instantly COVID was forgotten. Just on how things went. Like, it was nuts, man. And how easy it is to see that people still fall somehow, don't recognize how we went into a war while in the middle of a pandemic. They couldn't give us any kind of thing, right? They lied about a $1,200 check, number one. And most of us, most regular, normal people knew that $1,200 was nothing. That was 1 month's rent. 1 month's rent, not even like, for a lot of people, not even their full rent, just 1 month's rent. Or was it 1,400? I don't even remember anymore what the stupid check was. But you know, that was a lie. That was bullcrap. And so we went from not having money, not having enough money for people during a pandemic, not having enough money. All the prices on everything have gone up. And now it's normal that everything is priced double what it used to be. Food, gas, electric is all way higher than it used to be. That all went up. But we're funding war. Does that sound familiar at all, right? Like, does that sound fucking familiar? Because we're literally right in it. Can't feed the poor, got money for war. It's not a new story. It's our entire existence before we were born. Long time. This entire fiasco holds water because what people think they know for sure that just ain't so is a consensus. Preponderance of fabrications, falsehoods, and false prophets governs the spiritual milieu. That's environment, whatever. I like the word, it's an interesting one, milieu. I think that's how you pronounce it. People worship the prosaic and glorify artifice. Our moral choices are guided by platitude and not virtue, anecdote and not evidence. To complicate matters, what was formerly held sacred has become profane, and what was formerly profane has become sacred. To quote Robert Sapir, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but that is, I don't know if you've noticed that, but that is exactly what has happened. Up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left. It's twisted, deeply, deeply twisted. Everything happened really fast, really fast. It's what they do. It's how they've done it in the past. It's how it works. Not the first time this happened. Man, I saw it all happen though. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. Still happening. Still happening. Ongoing. There's war raging, alright, but you will find its theater of operations inside the human psyche. It is a war on consciousness, an atrophy of culture, and its stark consequences is the spiritual malaise of humanity. I'm not sure how you pronounce malaise. I think it's malaise. Freemasons, for one, understood that information was power, concealing beyond the prying eyes of the lower orders the esoteric mysteries of the universe. Then, as now, it's not enough for these people to hold a monopoly over knowledge. They must deprive everyone else of its illumination, or go one further and spread ignorance. It goes beyond censoring counter-arguments to fermenting falsehoods. It's not so much societal breakdown, but self-immolation. People are being misinformed and stupefied and sent out as agents of disinformation to further deconstruct what's left of an already deconstructed reality. Damn, that is so well put. That's beautiful right there. That's nuts. I read this already, but I didn't. That line is good, man. People are being misinformed and stupefied and sent out as agents of disinformation to further deconstruct what's left of an already deconstructed reality. Yeah. Damn, that's so well put. It's really well put. I want to say real quick, I've seen a lot about Freemasons and stuff. A lot of stuff, man. But I don't know. Anyways, it's a lot of crazy stuff. Our history is nuts, like generally history, like all kinds of the cultures and everything involved with each of them. And there's a lot. It's a lot. It's all connected. That's why I came across so much stuff. It was an accident. I didn't mean to. Every damn thing led to the next. It all just led. It was like a path. I walked down a path that I didn't want to walk down. I didn't want to go down that path, and there was no end. There was no end to that path, man. It was just madness, and it just kept rolling, man. No, I turned back around, and I don't know how I got out of there. I had to, though. I had to. Oh my goodness. Anyways. I was in a club as a kid in high school called Dimale, and it was cool. It was great. The people were awesome. They had their ritual stuff going on. Nothing evil, though. Maybe in other parts that I'm not aware of, but no, when I was in it, it was cool. It was really cool. It's one of the best things I remember when I think back. Although there are other things I prefer. Like I still have more fun in like sports in general and biking and skateboarding and stuff like that. But anyways, I've seen a lot of bad things about Freemasonry and Freemasons and whatever and stuff like that. There's a history, and it just made me think. I was like, damn. because you can kind of make anybody the bad guy. And I'm not saying there isn't bad stuff related to Freemasons and stuff, because from what I've seen, and I only had a glimpse, was yeah, of course there is. But I mean, that it's kind of like blaming religion for certain things. You know, we can blame religion. You take away religion, we're still going to have evil. That's a fact. That's a fact. People will still have certain beliefs and, you know, stuff. And not only that, but people are pushed to have beliefs. You know, our entire life, our entire existence is that's what society is telling you how to think and feel and what you know. It's like, that's what it is. I don't think that'd be different anywhere, really. Like, you know, when you learn what you live in, kind of, but you also learn what you're told, right? So we all need to focus more learning and keeping, like, what we live is what we know in comparison to what we are taught. It's something that we can understand but not know for sure. You know what I mean? Like, everything that we learn is just something we learn. It's not something we know. Like, math isn't something you know. It's a label. 2 + 2 = 4 is a label. It's not a real thing. Like, you know. Anyways. I'm really bad at analogies as well. So let me continue here. Let's see. Okay. To make matters worse, precisely 0 lessons have been learned these past 2 years. I don't know about that. I think they mean just big picture. Big picture, this seems true. Big picture, but I know I'm aware of many of individuals like myself that learned we were on the wrong side. But still, as a societal push, no, the lessons are not learned. Because everything that's horrible and evil and in control is still going. Still going. Just still going. People flounder from one crisis to the next, walk aimlessly from quarantine camp to air raid shelter into whichever direction their political higher-ups point them, to deride whoever is nominated as the scourge of society de jour. The Great Britain national pastime is to gather at the pillories and hurl cabbages at anti-vaxxers crossed out Russians. Yeah, right. Insert your anti-hero here. Yeah. No, I've seen it my entire life, man. The info war. If all this sounds remarkably like an info war, then it probably is. The battle for hearts and minds has moved online. Our divine spark of life is being overhauled to data. Something of divine proportions compels us to the internet, to data, our daily bread and circuses. Our digital avatars living richer, more meaningful lives than their truant owners. What ceases to be worth the candle is the epistemology of our data. I think I looked up that word. Let me see. Branch of philosophy that investigates the origin, nature, methods, and limits of human knowledge. Okay, yeah, there was a few words I had looked up earlier because I was like, what does that mean? Yeah, I get it in context. Like, in context, I can understand it, but I didn't really know the definition, you know? Alright. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, a card-carrying member of the Great Awakening or useful idiot on the lockdown left, you're still part of the same problem. You have been taken hostage by a series of narratives laid on with a shovel by the predator class and designed for the sole purpose of keeping you wrapped and not informed, sedentary and not spirited. In the world of algorithms, everyone is created equal, and data is just data. There's no morality to it. It reminds me, I didn't even think of this when I first read that, but I've had a lot of thoughts while reading this before. But it reminds me of like futuristic movies where, like Equilibrium, for example, but a lot of futuristic movies where like the people, the society, regular people, they're kind of just zombies, marching along together, you know, just going along with what they're supposed to go along with. And basically just like real life, you know, 9 to 5, have to work, sleep, and believe what you're told. You know, you get your news from, or you get your information from the news, you know, so-called news, and you're supposed to believe that, and that's it. Just do what you're told, believe what you're told, work, sleep, you know. we're there, you know. That's how it's been, anyways. But it's interesting to me. It says like no morality to it, which is, it just reminds me of like in the movie specifically how people are just, they don't think and they don't speak, right? Like I like off the top of my head, I remember Equilibrium. You take your drugs every day in the morning. You wake up, you take your medication, and off to work or whatever. And everybody's dressed the same, doesn't talk, doesn't really have any emotions. Emotions are against the law, basically. Yeah, it's a good movie if you haven't seen it. It's pretty good. It's kind of like, it's like a cheap version of The Matrix, but it's really good. Not quite the Matrix, but it's similar to the Matrix. Anyways, these events play out as nail-biting whodunit, but the reality is they're not supposed to be solved. There's no answers nor restitution. It's your awareness and not your belief systems which is being harvested. What these hellhounds want is for you to pick your side, choose your battle, but make sure your battle lines are social media and they're not throwing Molotov cocktails at the Tower of Babel, that you're not attacking the real enemy, the people telling you what to believe and who you're supposed to be fighting for and against. And people think it's conspiracy that there's a control over society. Like, it's no. I mean, I never understood all the propaganda like against Russia and China my entire life. They were the enemy in every book, every movie. They were part of our schooling and history. Russia this, China that, you know, always. That's what I remember anyways. Different schools might teach differently and stuff. And at the same time, I always knew that our whole lives, everything's made in China, right? Like, it's been a joke for most of my life, since I was a kid, since I was really young. Everything's made in China. Everything in China or Taiwan, right? China and Taiwan. And then I forget the business dealings with Russia, but, you know, that never stopped either. We've always, like, it's business, right? So the whole thing is a damn show, you know, but we're, while everything that we wear and use and play on and whatever is made from China, we're supposed to hate their guts and be at war with them, kind of a thing, right? You know, anyways, but that's a part of that. That's what I like. So they give our enemy, our real enemy, gives us a target, and we're just supposed to go along with that. And many people do. Many people do. I had somebody came into my Twitch stream the other day, was talking and stuff, and I mentioned something about how, I don't remember why, but it came up in conversation that I was like, you know, countries don't even make sense. We all live on the same planet. We're all people living on the same planet. Like, what's the point of countries and borders? I've always felt this way. It's never made sense to me. Like, money is stupid. It's a label. It's garbage. It's fake. It's literally just fake. It's literally fake, and people will defend that as if, no, like, but, and so, like, it's literally fake. Borders and countries are fake too, and that's when you get into that, people start talking about how it's like a gangland territory, mafia type stuff on a pretty huge scale. But then you get even bigger, and it's global, not insanity. Like, anyways, can't. It's too much. It's too much. Yeah, I forget why I got into that. Oh, I was talking about the borders. Like, we don't need borders or countries. It's stupid. It makes no sense. And somebody had responded saying something like, "Oh, you don't care if other people from those savages from the third world come into your country." And I was like, and I said something like, so you just assume somebody from another part of the world is just worse, is not as good a human being as you, right? You know what I mean? Like, and we're told these things. I don't know if you remember when the Ukraine stuff first started, but how MSM was saying, yeah, we want to defend Ukraine because they're civilized people. They're not savages, they're civilized people. This is real shit. It's real. This isn't something that I'm just making up. This is stuff that they've said on MSM repeatedly. Same people on MSM told people we need camps for the unvaccinated. On MSM. The people that are telling us what to think and believe, they are our fucking enemy. Sorry. Everyone has a dog in the fight, particularly those baying for the blood of the unvaccinated or calling for violence against Russians who do so, according to Voltaire, because those who can make you believe in absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Damn. I remember reading that too, and I know I did. That's another good one. It's sad. It's true. It's sad. It's quite simple, really. If a person's psyche is under siege and don't designate an enemy to scapegoat, they might get wise to who's really attacking them, and that simply wouldn't do. So before you think of who the real enemy is, we have another enemy for you instead. Same thing, you know. Anyways, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get into that. I had none of the stuff that I've said while reading this was planned or anything. And I had other thoughts and reactions while I was reading it that I thought I would say while I was reading it on the recording, but that didn't work out the same. Anyways, sorry, so I'm a little emotional and enraged at the moment. In this theater of the absurd, people acclimate to fiction because it's easier than confronting uncomfortable truths. But under these fertile conditions, any version of reality, no matter how precarious, will wash. That's where the Great Reset enters the fray. I like the first part of this too. I mean, this whole thing is written really well. It's a piece of poetry, kind of. It's beautiful stuff. It's horrible. It's a beautiful way to describe our hellish nightmare. Once you desecrate a person's moralistic and cultural maps of the world, their place in it becomes increasingly untenable. People lose touch with reality and what it means to be human. The ensuing crisis of identity leaves them susceptible to a hostile takeover. Amongst other things that could possibly go wrong is the eventual microchipping of the population and brain-machine interfaces. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this. This is not a conspiracy. This is what they discuss at the World Economic Forum and have for years, at least a decade, if not longer. Probably, I would bet 20 years. I haven't looked back on all the oldest videos, but I'm sure that they've been talking about it much longer. But this is normal stuff that they say on stage in front of cameras, in front of lots of people. It's on MSM as well. They're telling you what they're doing, and people are like, nah, that's fake. Nah, that has to be, because it sounds nuts, right? But I mean, this is, you think about it too, like all our movies for a long time, decades of futuristic movies have been pointing exactly here. It's predictive programming, which is the next topic. This is all stuff that we're already used to as a thought. We've already considered it. We've already considered these things becoming real because we've been taught to. And it's one thing, right? Like, it's not a horror. Like, generally, I've never hated the idea of certain things. Like, I've always loved the idea of flying cars. I was mad when 2020 came around, and I was like, why don't we have flying cars, you know? Might have even 2010 too. Like, where's the flying cars? Damn it, you know. But the reality is, all the tech, all the amazing tech that is available in this world and has been invented, and all that, all of it is used to control society. It's not used to benefit society. It's not used to benefit. We are all fucking slaves. This is a truth. This is a reality. And I think wealthier people less so, but we all. I mean, I know wealthy people that still are getting by, right? They're a lot better off than me, but they still have their own issues, you know, financially and shit, right? They still have to save. They still have to, you know, whatever. It's just a different situation. It's weird. It's weird, right? It's weird. Because there is a gap between each of our financial positions. You know, there's all kinds of different types of poor. There's all kinds of different types of like middle class and what. It's nuts. It's bonkers, man. And that's why it's so easy to. That's why I think it's so easy to trick the majority general perception into believing like everything's fine, because some people are perfectly fucking fine. I'm fine. I'm poor as fuck, man. You know, I've been poor my whole life, and every time I talk to people, they're like, "How come you don't go out and do things?" I'm like, "I can't fucking afford to, dude. I can't fucking afford to go live. I mean, I could go enjoy nature. Fucking awesome. I love nature." You know, it's not fucking whatever. Anyways, I don't remember. I had a point there. I was gonna say something else, and that's why I was saying that. But yeah, oh yeah, no. I had a life when I was younger because most of my friends, when I went out, my friends paid for me. My friends paid for me to do things. Yeah, my mom did her best. She was amazing. She was amazing. Anyways, all right, let's continue. But yeah, no. So this stuff, the chipping, that's all real, and they make it sound like it's gonna be helpful. It can be. That's the thing. It can be. Oh, it can. It's not what it's made for. That's not their intention. And then it's how they normally, if it does good for somebody, right, it will always be used to be worse. Like, I mean, I forget the story behind the atomic bomb, but I mean, they didn't originally make it to murder people, right? If I remember correctly, it was supposed to be like an energy source or something. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I read about that stuff. I didn't even look at that in the past few years. But as far as I can remember, a lot of stuff originally, like Nikola Tesla's story, is nuts. Like, there's so much behind Nikola Tesla, and that also makes me think, well, it makes sense that Elon Musk's crap is called Tesla, because they try to make just by name alone, you connect like this Tesla's a good thing because Nikola Tesla was fucking awesome, but no, this Tesla Elon Musk shit is evil, horrible garbage. Anyways, but there's a lot of stuff that was invented for the betterment of mankind. A lot of stuff is, and even now, you know, I don't know if you've heard of the water gassed car or whatever, using water to as gas. And I meant to look that up more and get deeper into it just to see if I could actually do something like that. Just like, who cares if the government isn't doing it? Like, if I could make water gas, I'll just do it on my own car, you know. Like, anyways, all kinds of inventions are made for the good by regular people. Regular people come up with amazing inventions, and then guess who comes in, steals it from them, kills them, and then does crazy shit with it. It's the people in power. That's what happens. I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but that's what it comes down to. Anyways, all right, let's continue. I'm just saying, the chip shit, it can be good, but you got to be aware of all the other stuff. You have to be. You have to be aware of these things, man. Otherwise, you know, you're just gonna keep going on with madness. All right, predictive programming. But there are even stranger things brewing. Predictive programming is the theory of a hidden hand operating the levers of reality. A sort of reality adjustment bureau obfuscating real-world events through film, literature, and media manipulation. A form of psychological conditioning that reduces people's resistance to the acceptance of planned future events and encourages them to swap concrete reality structures for static constructs until eventually our inherited worldview is replaced by mythos and archetypes. That we are living through the objectification of the predator class is no moot point. That's the Messiah complex imprinted onto the collective consciousness and projected back onto the real world. By their own volition, the masses are breathing life into these grotesqueries and blotting the social fabric. It's weird. It's weird to see it this way too, because I get it, and it's in a way that paragraph blames people for regurgitating the crap that the lies that they're told to believe, and that you do believe because it's from somebody that you're supposed to trust and believe. You're supposed to trust the authority. That's also a part of our programming, brainwashing. As we grow up in society, that's what we're taught. We're taught that the police are the good guys, but meanwhile we can see differently. Most laws don't make sense. Almost everybody in prison doesn't belong there for half the time they're there for. You know, it's all a bunch of craziness, and they tell us it's for our protection. Like, you know, we can protect ourselves. You really need to wear a seatbelt? Like, it's a law, and the only reason it's a law is to get money from you if they happen to want to catch you and fine you for not having a seatbelt on. It's not really for your protection. It's just not. I saw a meme, and I never thought of it this way too, but I saw a meme like a week or two ago, and I only remembered it right now as I was talking about this. There's a meme. It's funny as hell. It's something about like, You know it's not for your safety when a motorcycle cop pulls you over for not having your seatbelt on. And I thought that was hilarious, dude. I was like, oh my god, that's a great point, man. Somebody had an argument on that too. Some people, the way that we'll justify or rationalize things is fucking stupid. Just stupid, man. We can be real idiots. Look, I'm saying we because I know that I have made many mistakes. I've said many stupid things, and I know a lot of the things I have been saying lately can be considered crazy. I know that. I know they're not, but I know they can't be. Anyways. Alright, let's continue. Revelation of the method. But it runs even deeper than predictive programming. Some call this revelation of the method. According to Michael Hoffman, I don't know who that is. First, they suppress the counter-argument, and when the most opportune time arrives, they reveal aspects of what's really happened, but in a limited hangout sort of way. We were told the vaccines were harmless until Pfizer debased their own safety claims every time, but not before the entire world had been vaccinated. Lockdown apologists across the corporate media are now almost unanimous that lockdowns do more harm than good. All of them. I don't know if you've seen this, but everybody's talking about it now. Lockdowns were bad, we shouldn't have done it. This is no arbitrary volte-face, but rather a carefully planned sequence of disclosures when the time is right. And I've seen this kind of thing my entire life on every topic possible, everything, especially like politics. You know, blue versus red, you know, that kind of a thing. Like, that's always been the same people on MSM, for example, the same news, so-called news, and all this and that. Like, our propaganda, they just go back and forth. They go back and forth. They pick sides depending on what side's the better one to pick every time. Every time. And what they're doing that to show us who to go for. Like, it doesn't matter. They all go back and forth, whether you think they're on your team or not, because somebody said something is better about red or blue or whatever. Either way, they're all liars. Every single thing that they talk about and do it is deliberately. They go back and forth, and I've always seen it, and I'm always like, how come nobody seems to notice this? And I'm sure I don't mean nobody, but it's just so general that we accept this crap. It is crap. Like, the fact that so many people still believe voting matters. It's just like, dude, it never did. Not ever. And that's not knowing that isn't enough. That getting to the point where you're like, well, then I just won't vote. And if you ignore everything else going on, just knowing that your vote is meaningless is useless. It's good to know that your vote is meaningless. That's good to know. But if that's all you understand, then you'll still fall for shit like a fake fucking pandemic when the authority tells you. Because you don't understand all the history behind all these people, the individual people that are in Congress. President. All these people that have a real history that you could find out, and it's all nasty. I mean, when you know their history and you know who they're connected to and all this, you can see the lies right out, because you know. Like, if you don't know their history, then you either believe the lies or you don't, just cause, right? You know what I mean? Like, you need to know who your enemy is. It's nuts. All right, anyways. Michael Hoffman suggests that the ruling elite are giving notice of their supremacy, declaring themselves virtuoso criminal masterminds, above the law and beyond reproach. And we know this is true. We've seen them get away with breaking the law our entire lives. But most of all, they're telling you in no uncertain terms that you are without recourse. These events are beyond your control, as is your own destiny for that matter. Eventually, a sense of apathy and abulia engulfs humanity, demoralizing us to the point of conceding defeat to a system we are powerless to change. Not that you would ever have restitution. The house is not designed to do its own housekeeping. Buried deep within their rule of law is a hidden constitution that states nothing happens without your consent. In this version of contract law, once the truth is hidden in plain sight, you have agreed to it. There exists someplace an unsigned contract with your unsworn oath on it. In the end, we're all victims of the same masterstroke. Whether keyboard evangelist or state apologist, everyone is being royally screwed. And it's not so much that they're laughing at you, it's that you're laughing at yourself. I don't like the last line there. I get it, it's funny, but I don't like it. I wouldn't put it that way. Because they are laughing at us while they do this to us, you know. I don't know if you saw all the stuff in regards to masking. And I remembered when that first happened too. Like, I remembered when I was younger that we had been told, you know, for many years that masks don't stop viruses. That was a normal, like, knowledge of the time. But science changes, you know, and you have to trust the science until that changes again, you know. But no, I mean, yeah. Anyways, part of this last part reminded me of like the a couple things. I'm trying to find where it was that I was, because there was a couple things, damn it. Right. Anyways, this was really cool. It was really beautifully written, and I thought it was cool. Yeah, so, I mean, it does make you feel powerless. I mean, I feel completely powerless against such a machine as we are up against. In a way, you know, I mean, what am I going to do? I can't stop them. It would take a lot to stop them. But in the most peaceful possible way, everybody would have to understand who the enemy is and what they're doing. You would have to. It's the only way. Peacefully. Other than that, assassination should be fucking happening. I'm just saying. Just saying, man. I mean, we play Assassin's Creed, right? You play through that series. Hello? Who's the fucking hero? It's the fucking assassin, man. Killing bad guys. And then, of course, we learned throughout, especially the first game, too, is like there is deception. Killing the wrong people. They weren't really a bad guy. Or stuff like that, right? There's multiple sides to a story and all that kind of a thing. I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying. There are real bad guys. They are real, evil, demonic motherfuckers. And they run our society. They're the ones in charge. So they have the power. When you try to fight them, they use that power against us, right? And I say us as a people. I've watched, you watch what the police do to people when they try to protest. All the laws that are trying to keep people from protesting, they've always done that my entire life as well. I've always seen laws for protests restrict more and more and more. And it was 2020 or 2021, I forget, in that period, they were proposing calling a protest with 3 people a riot. That's what they were proposing as legislation. I had talked about it before. That's real. That happened. They proposed that as legislation. They've always done this. They've always done this. They've always... Whenever they can, they make the laws worse and worse and worse. More control, more control, more control. And they've always done this. This is the norm for our society. More control. Stupider laws. I have a video previously uploaded about some stupid laws being enforced, and man, that's some funny stuff. They even, I don't know how far it's gone at this point right now because so much is happening at once, and I had to, like I said, surface. I had to get out. I had to stop. I have to remain aware of things, but I am not as deep as I was because that was way too much. Anyways, one of the laws a law that they wanted to push is misinformation, disinformation, like a conspiracy theories. Like the police were on MSM in another country, I forget which one, saying like, if you notice somebody saying conspiracy theories, please report them to us. Like, what the? I mean, this is real. This is real. It's horrible. Oh man. All right. Okay. I think I've said enough. That got me. Some of that stuff I talked about was just because it's all related. Everything is connected. It all is, man. It's nuts. Histories are connected. All these people in power are connected. This power is inherited. Now, regular wealth is inherited. That's what the power that people in the large power, they inherit their place. Or they're put there as a controlled kind of a thing, but the people with in these positions they inherit it. It's all inherited. It's nuts. It's everywhere. It's global. I know I had something else to say with that, but whatever. Screw it, man. I'm tired and I spoke too long, and that was a good article, though, right? I'll put a link to the article to the post in the description. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.